The U.S. government is largely in the dark when it comes to ransomware attacks. The National Defense Authorization Act for 2022 moved closer to becoming law, but does not include cybersecurity incident reporting legislation. Bob Bigman is former Chief Information Security Officer at the CIA. Bob, nice to see you again.
Thank you. Good to see you.
The DHS Undersecretary for Strategy and Policy said last month that only a small fraction of ransomware attacks are reported to the federal government. Is that surprising to you?
No, not at all. The actual idea of voluntary reporting is not going to be effective. No company wants to take the risk and publicly report that the king has no clothes here, and that we may have cyber exposure, right? So it's antithetical to think that they're going to willingly report to the U.S. government incidents that occur in their network. It just doesn't work that way.
Well, spell out the advantages that the government derives from getting that information, good and timely reporting on cyber attacks.
Oh, it's absolutely necessary. I mean, if we're going to have any chance at getting good analytics and understanding, especially Russian hacking campaigns, we have to understand the breadth, the depth, timing, what types of industries are affected, what types of payloads they're using. Right now, we're getting spotty and insufficient information to make any real conclusions. And this is why, as the report said, that we can't give the president or anyone in government any really solid information, accurate information on what's happening. No, I do agree with those who criticize it and say that we need more information.
So absent actual legislation for cyber incident reporting, is there a way to compel reporting by private companies of cyber attacks?
No, I'll be honest with you that I'm not necessarily a big fan of legislation, but I think in this area, I think legislation probably would help at least make organizations legally required to report some information regarding types of attacks, dates of attacks, breadth, depth of attacks, certain information that the government would use. We don't necessarily have to invade the privacy of the company. And that will only come after we experience it for a while, right? We need to have some degree of time to experience that the government can do this and do this well. And then I think you'll see it expand. But yeah, I actually think this is something that has to be legislated. Voluntarily reporting that your kids have acne is not gonna work.
Well, you mentioned privacy. I mean, can private companies be assured that that information stays private if they report it to the government?
Well, assured. They can give them a high degree of assurance. I think if they set up the right systems and processes and really work hard to keep the data private, I believe they can. There's just a historical mistrust of the government holding your data, right? And the only way to solve that is by experiencing it over a period of time where that trust can grow. I feel confident the government can hold this information. Now, I also think, more importantly, that they don't necessarily need the information that exposes the actual company. There's ways of encoding the information and obscuring, actually who the company is to make this data more secure. And I know the government has thought through all this, but again, just trying to convince companies that we're really good and we'll really do it right this time. That's a hard and difficult, and frankly hasn't worked to date.
So, Bob, at this point, do we even know if ransomware attacks have increased or decreased recently?
Oh, they've increased. There's no. There is a ransomware war going on right now. I mean, I don't know what the actual numbers are because, like the government, we don't have them. But just from my own involvement with working with various companies, my workload of ransomware incidents has increased, 25, 30% in the last 2 months. Either the companies are extremely worried about it, believe they have had infections that either have or haven't worked. where their security software has stopped it. Or, as I said, a number of my clients basically are experiencing ransomware attacks.
You know, I'm curious about the FBI because they've said that, cyber criminals find the holidays an attractive time to attack. What is their role in cyber crime? Are they simply after the fact where they, try to bring criminals to justice?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they're trying to make cases to bring cyber criminals to justice. And the way they do this is they obtain evidence. So they have to have people contributing information to them, including, by the way, the ISPs, who we haven't discussed. I think, when I begin legislation, I would begin it with the ISPs to make them more responsible. They see the traffic that's going through our networks, and I think it's time to hold them more accountable as well. But yeah, so the FBI basically needs, the information to form their cases, as they do in any type of investigation. And the forensic information that they get from the agencies, or excuse me, from the companies, is critical to them building their cases against these various organizations. And that's a question of international politics as to whether or not something will actually get done. But the Bureau is doing a really credible job of actually building cases and have had a number of successes.
All right. Well, Bob, thanks as usual, and happy holidays to you.
Same to you. Thank you.